decades-long racism in farming by creating programs through the coronavirus stimulus that is exclusively for minority farmers. And now white farmers are suing in order to gain access. We're joined now by John Boyd, president of the National Black Farmers Association, and Yahoo Finance's Adriana Belmonte. So, John, I want to start with the obvious question. How is a program like this, as you view it, essentially fair and not reverse racism, as I know some folks are calling it?
Well, it's definitely not reverse racism. I've been trying to get debt relief for blacks and other farmers of color for over 30 years. This isn't a new request at all. And when I first heard about the complaint, I immediately thought about history, where blacks were enslaved, Native Americans lost all their land at greed of many white men. And this is the same thing, where they've been already received nearly $500 billion out of the U.S. Farm Subsidy Program since the early 90s. And many blacks didn't get a dime of that money. So here I worked all these years to get debt relief for to me, a small amount of $5 billion for blacks and other farmers of color, and $1 billion to set up outreach and technical assistance. These are things that blacks didn't get. And we didn't get them in a lawsuit. We didn't get debt relief from the lawsuits. And it's just something that's very troubling for me. And here you have an ag secretary in the state of Texas who's leading up this complaint, where 8 out of 10 blacks in the state of Texas who applied for federal aid were denied. So instead of filing a suit to complain for white farmers, why isn't he doing something to help black farmers in his very own state obtain access to credit at USDA and other state agencies where he could be more helpful to farmers of color there? So again, it just shows the troubling pattern. And it looks like we're going back in time in history, where, they just don't want blacks to have anything. And we want to be treated with dignity and respect. That's it. And if we had been treated with dignity and respect, we wouldn't have lost all of our farmers since the turn of the century, where we represented almost 14% of America's farmers. We're down from 20 some odd million acres of land down to 4 million acres. And they've been knowing these troubling patterns for a long time, and they never once tried to help us fix it.
John, I was looking through this lawsuit and I noticed one line at the beginning that really stuck out to me. They said, every time the government places citizens on racial registers and makes race relevant to the provision of burdens or benefits, it demeans us all. So when you hear a statement like that a program like this demeans everybody, how do you respond to that?
Well, for me as a black farmer, COVID really made things more difficult for us. Here you have the federal government who still isn't totaling out aid to black farmers in a fair way. $29 billion just under the Trump administration alone. 0.05% went to farmers of color in this country, a very dismal amount. So they know we were in trouble. They know we were struggling during COVID, and they still don't want us to get this relief. Anytime there's relief on the table for black farmers, many large-scale white farmers find it troubling that we get the aid, but they don't see anything wrong with them getting taxpayer dollars at the tune of a $500 billion just in farm subsidies, not to equate anything that went out for farm operating loans, farm ownership loans, and all of these other programs that USDA has. The answer here is very easy. Fix it so that black farmers can participate in federal programs equally and equitably, and we wouldn't need a special program or an act of Congress to help us do that.
All right, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that lawsuit and bringing up all of the updates. John, looking forward to chatting with you again in the future. John Boyd, president of the National Black Farmers Association. Adriana Belmonte, thank you both for joining us in this conversation.